that could get different players into the playoffs. We started out with 8 players, and only 4 of them make it on to the playoffs. So we've got our 2 best players playing off against each other tonight in a head-to-head, and that's going to be our last match, herO versus Mind. But we also have our 2 players that are lowest in the standings playing against each other for our first match, and you might not think that that would matter, but it actually does affect some things.
Absolutely. Hello, of course, to the Korean fans out there. So today, of course, we're going to be having that first match determined a lot because Light could actually throw us into, a few other scenarios happen, a tiebreaker, which is unusual, of course. Didn't happen for SSL Premier, but we could go into a 3-way tie, round robin kind of
there is a potential for infinity games tonight, guys.
It is a possibility. A small one, but
yeah.
It is a possibility. So if herO wins and upsets, it actually eliminates several different scenarios. We'll talk more about that as we get into the games themselves. Yeah. But it's going to be definitely a day with like a lot of crazy circumstances that could potentially occur. But if you look at the standings of players at the top, are likely the ones to stay there. But, you know, just to put it into perspective, these are best of ones, not like StarCraft 2. So there's less chances in StarCraft 2 for tiebreakers because of map score, whereas these are just simply best of ones, wins and losses. Right,
so let's go over some of these score lines. Basically, herO, if he wins his match right now, will advance to the finals in first place. No questions asked. Mind could do the same. It's a gauntlet format, too, so you definitely want to get out in first place because it means you only have to play in the grand finals, and it's a big security blanket there.
Yeah, and that's going to be the last match of the evening, so they're saving the best for last because that is quite literally going to be like a semi-final match in a way because it will determine who goes to the great and important grand finals, skips those playoffs. For Free and Light and Rain, there's some really unlikely scenarios that could happen that could get them into playoffs. But really, top 4 is all that matters, and Light, man, he's going to have to win his match, and Free will have to lose his match, the third one, in order to get in. We're starting things off, of course, on Circuit Breakers. We have a very diverse map pool today. Circuit Breakers, Blue Storm, Medusa, and then, of course, Match Point.
Yeah, not just diverse maps. We've had days where we've only seen one map played in every match of the day, but now we get to see all 4 maps. We also get no mirror matches, so we're going to be going through every single different map or matchup between all of the players here today. So yeah, just like if you had one day that you picked to watch SSL Classic, this is definitely it. You get to see the best 2 players face off against each other on one of the newer maps, Match Point. I don't think that's been played in any Brood War tournament in the modern era. So except for the SSL Classic. Right, yeah. So definitely going to be cool to watch that last game. So you definitely want to stick around from that. We've got the revenge match, Rain versus Sock. Sock knocked Rain out of the ASL in the round of 32, and now they get to play against each other once again.
Yeah. So just looking at these standings, of course, if Sulky to get Sulky in, he'll have to beat Free, and also, of course, herO will have to lose to, beat Mind. So there's a few like wonky scenarios that are going to happen throughout this evening, and just kind of reviewing my notes as we put them together before the broadcast, just to make sure that every single time a game ends, you'll be able to know. We'll be with you every step of the journey as to what this will mean.
So if you just want to keep things straight, basically Mind and herO and Sulky are most likely all 3 going into the finals. So it's going to be a battle over that final 4th place. And that's the spot that we could have tiebreakers going through between Mind, Sock, and Free. Yeah. So basically, our last 2 players are really going to decide basically how the head-to-head negatively affects those 3 players. And so let's go ahead and get things started with our 2 players in last place. This guy is Light. He missed the day of the SSL due to personal issues, so he was not able to attend there. Gave a free win to Sulky, and that did not help him in his journey to not make it out in last place.
No, definitely did not. Keep in mind that the wins he did take were an aggressive all-in and TBT, and then he got lucky with a scouted a Nexus first, and proxy rushed, pulled SABs to bunker a Nexus and his other win. The rest of his games, he's tried to play longer games, he has failed, so we'll see if he can step it up today. herO, though, with the same record, 2-4, down at the bottom, just having only the win at the beginning versus effort with the build or win. The rest of his games look very sloppy. However, he did win the straight-up longer game there against Rain.
Yeah, I really feel like for herO, he turned his season around just a little bit too late. That win versus Rain, very convincing, very solid victory. Kind of odd that he was able to defeat the player who has the best score in the SSL Classic, but if you guys want lots and lots of games tonight, you hope that Light wins. If you just want to see your regular 4, then herO is the guy for you to cheer for.
That's right.
From, you know, just who you're a fan of.
And herO is not eligible for playoffs. Just to mention that one more time, this match doesn't matter for him except for the prize money, of course, that comes with winning your best of 1.
Yep.
So we're going to go into game number 1 right now, guys. Light versus herO.
And here we are, plugging our sponsors, as we do at the beginning of every single game. So we ally with Light, we are going to spawn on to Circuit Breakers. Our Terran player, whose name I just mentioned, in the brown, is Light.
And of course, his opponent to the bottom right is herO, who actually had a massive cheer in the crowd, despite being ineligible for playoffs. He's going to stick it in for this final match for that fight money. And we'll see if he can do it. You know, he's going to want to be careful, I'd say, on Circuit Breakers. Of course, we're cross-spawn here, so long rush distance between the two. But he definitely wants to be careful about Light's aggressive play style he's shown throughout this tournament. He'll probably play a more conservative style. And I don't think going for this really calm and Hydralisk aggression that we've been seeing in this tournament so often is going to be the go-to here, because we're cross-spawns. And, of course, Light is a very aggressive style player.
So there's a couple of interesting things that have been happening a little bit in TVZ, at least from some of the streams I've been watching, other tournaments like ASL. Either the Zerg player puts on a lot of early pressure, tries to maybe hide a couple of Zerglings, and then punish the Terran player when he makes a small transition from, you know, producing the first few Marines into Meg. That's very uncommon, but we do have an early pool coming down here. However, there's no gas, so this shouldn't be any super early aggression from herO.
No, definitely not. It's mostly a safety spawning pool, because this is a barracks before depot. It's not a BBS, just a BS, if you will. It's just going to be one aggressive racks at the front to put some pressure on. If he had spawned, of course, to the you know, horizontal location, talking of course about herO, and it had been a hatch first, perhaps he could find a lot of damage with this.
Ooh.
But because it's pool first and it's cross, which will be probably revealed by this drone, that it's actually kind of unusual. He's going to send that one down to the bottom left still, even after seeing that drone. But anyways, he has the safer pool opening. He's even going to harass this Marine, which will be forced to micro.
Yeah, so lots of information given there to herO. He sees from the barracks positioning that it is an aggressive forward barracks, so he's probably going to know that it came down before supply, just based on also that Marine coming out. And so this is where his safety spawning pool is really, really going to pay off.
Yeah, and this is actually so good for herO, because now he's just saying, oh, okay, I figured, you know, I knew it. I knew you would do something like this. This is how you're playing all tournament long. And the Lings here will easily get the surround on this Marine, and that's going to be the first information for Light about what build it is. He needs to get a bunker up.
Even with no Zergling speed, the way that this matchup works is actually really interesting. Usually you want to pool like 2 or 3 Marines and then put them against a wall, and then they do really well against Zerglings. But then Zergling speed finishes, and every Marine dies if it's out on the map. So it's really kind of a bungee cord, but Light's going to have to pull a lot of SCVs here. He's not going to have this bunker up in time, but it's going to be too dangerous to run up a ramp through SCVs. So Zerglings just can't do that. That's never going to work. It's never going to happen. It's one of the only, you know, sort of guaranteed things in Brood War. You cannot run up a ramp with units if there are workers there.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So he does take the conservative approach, but this is unfortunate for Light. He had to actually put the resource into this bunker, and will now, of course, have to make a command center here. Place the bunker in such a way so that it won't block the command center. That's why it's put in such this weird place there next to the ramp. So it just helps kind of zone out that ramp location. He does get this scout off, so that's the one thing that he did get because he sent 2 SCVs out. There was no way to deny the scout. Sees the triple hatch. And already Light is kind of on the back foot here. This may open up the window to that Hydralisk bust we've been seeing so much of. Again, it is cross positions on this map, so less likely, but with the triple hatch coming up already and you're having all this information about the weak infrastructure that's going to be on the side of Light, I feel like it's definitely a growing possibility.
Okay, you know, more barracks coming down. We're not going to see one build that is very popular is 5 racks going right out in the middle of the map. You see it a lot on game maps like Fighting Spirit, like Andromeda, and on Circuit Breakers as well. But you're not going to see that aggressive opening thanks to how, I don't want to say behind, but Light's early strat just did not work, so he's forced to pull back and play defensively for now. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if we saw herO go for a 3rd base, but he's a little bit more of an aggressive player. So you mentioned the popularity of the Hydra busts. Now we've been seeing quite a bit of those. It'll be interesting to see if he wants to put on that kind of pressure.
Yeah, we'll see if he does. Just want to point out one quick little thing. The Marines that were sent across the map were looking for that Overlord. It's actually in the exact position it's normally placed, and he just barely missed it. So it just feels like everything is going wrong for Light here. We'll send this 5 Marine pressure across the map just for a moment. Just a move like this may force Zerglings to be made. That's kind of what he's looking for here. But already with the Lings that are out on the map. Yeah. For herO, he's not afraid of this. So as soon as we saw the lair coming up this early without a 3rd base, it did lead towards the chance that it's going to be a Spire, going to be meatless, and with the lack of turrets back at home, he's going to need to get those soon. I really worry here for Light because map control is normally given to the Terran around this time with those pushes. The Mutas kind of try to draw him back, but he doesn't even have that 5 racks pressure. He doesn't have any infrastructure at home, and he doesn't, you know, he's just trying to get those barracks up while also now having to make an academy, get that engineering bay. Oh, he may scout it though. That would be huge.
Okay, so he's actually not going to scout there on the low ground of the natural. You kind of want to go into the natural, but a lot of times if you're trying to hide tech, you want to put it way back in your main. It's a little bit of kind of a scouting metagame because a lot of times Terrans will get a comsat station and just scan your main, so you want to try to hide it where it's not going to get scouted. With that kill on the SCV, that will be an unscouted Spire for herO.
Yeah, and that's really important for herO. He was so close to seeing it. Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but there was a drone that looked like it was going to go make something next to the lair, which almost looked like it was going to be making a Hydrogen or something like that. He showed that. So
wait, what? That drone is certainly just going to get in there. But yeah, good point that you were making.
So it almost looks like he tried to fake him out too. So maybe Light is just like, oh well, whatever tech he was going to make, he certainly hasn't started it yet because I saw your drone, haha, which isn't actually the case. So Mutas are on the way right now. He's actually trying to sneak by these Marines. Unfortunately,
wow.
Actually, if you will go through, he kills a few Marines here, which is going to hurt the counter pressure that Light wanted to put on here. The eBay is done. I don't think he has any turrets, though.
I think he just started building one in the natural. Okay. But yeah, he'll have 1 turret up, but not enough. I think this is actually going to be a pretty decent swell of Mutalisks. Sometimes you only go for 5, and okay, yeah, there is only 5 there. But you can, if you do bank a lot of resources, pull out, I think, 7 Mutalisks, and that's when you really need to get some damage done. But yeah, there is 1 turret up in the natural main, still turretless from what I can see.
Yeah, there's not a lot of dead airspace between the main and the natural for these Mutas to bounce between. So with 3 turrets now completed here, I think he has 6 Mutas, and it's still just not going to be enough to find massive damage here. He's going to target down this turret. Actually, no repair just yet. And I think killed 2 SCVs there, so a little bit of damage already as he transitions to those Hydras. Gets another one. Good micro here by herO with the stacking.
Yeah. Using
that Overlord. You can see it actually down on the mini-map. It's just below the Mutalist. That's the Overlord that's in his control group that he's using to micro these. So factory tech coming up here now, and just a small amount of barracks as he does have that large bio force now.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a fine line because you can keep the Terran back in his base as Zerg with Mutalisks, but eventually the Terran is going to come out with these 2 to 3 control groups of bio, and Mutas just don't work against that unless you have, you know, some insane, crazy, like 2 control groups of Mutalisks, which no Zerg on 2 bases and 3 hatcheries will be able to afford.
Sure. He's just trying to keep the Terran at bay here with a few Ling run-bys as well as he's taking up the hive. He has the Queen's Nest on the way. Here comes that push you're talking about.
Picking off medics in the back.
Yeah. Getting 1 already. This is going to be the real, I think, breaking point in this game is can Light actually find damage with this? If not, already Defiler Tech is almost ready here on the side of herO, who's picking off units already. And look at this, even using some Zerlings to help tank. He's killing so much of this bio. He's dominating this with an army that shouldn't be able to beat this at this stage in the game, just because of how early the advantage was for herO. He's very much able to contest with this.
Now, if herO had lurkers, that'd be very easy to defend. If he had, what is it, Nidus network, that would be easy to defend, but he doesn't have either of those right now. So all herO has to do is just stall this Bioforce, whittle it down over time, and make sure that it can't get to that third base. And it looks like running in here, he will be able to clean this up.
He's just going to straight kill it, man. This is almost like unrealistic how much damage he's able to do. Like
coming across, but I think it's just Marines.
Yeah,
so if you
no
can
medics.
Just harass that, maybe there's one medic left. If you can harass that, that is a great job done. It's still scary, but now there are lurkers.
Yeah, there are lurkers out now. They're still not in position. He doesn't have a Nidus, but he's got two morphing lurkers. So this ramp is not. Oh,
no,
he misplaced it.
Oh my God, that's so bad.
He misplaced it for sure. So
can't hear myself.
As you can see, the attack is going to come in here as we have Lings running in to kill these Marines. They will be cleaned up because they were so damaged from earlier. So hopefully you guys can still hear us. We have a technical issue with our sound at this current moment in time. So, Science Facility coming up now is taking to those vessels, but already the Zerg has all the tools that he would want to have at this stage of the game uncontested, because he shut down that Marine force. He has 3 bases now. He has Lurker Tech. He has Defiler Tech coming up. You know, I feel like this game is now totally in herO's hands, and that moment in the middle of the map where you come across as the Terran player to put that pressure on is oftentimes the breaking point, right? And he just was totally shut down, and now he's kind of neutered back on 2 bases, and nothing he can accomplish.
To be fair, Terran can stay on 2 bases for quite a while, but whenever you're playing defensively like this, as Terran, Zerg's just going to get a little bit out of control, and so now finally this will be, you know, the big push that needs to get damage done. Light, or herO rather, is in a great spot. He's managed to produce several control groups. Zerglings going to try to get into position, or even just try to run by. He's going to get a little bit pincered there. We'll pick off fire bats and any reinforcements coming through, and just continue to try to harass this force of light moving out.
Yeah, still has this large bio ball moving across the map now, and the Lings just fade away as he's trying to get those defilers up in time to make sure he can hold this. He's got a bunch of Sunkens up too. And herO's just kind of running circles around Light right now, who's just struggling to get this large army across the map. It's much smaller than he would like it to be with the pressure that was put on earlier that he failed to actually kill the hatchery with. He lost all those units, and this is again an army that Mutalisk can harass. He's looking for the vessel here. Good control here so far on the side of Light. Vessel's still fairly vulnerable. We'll look for the Irradia here. I don't know if he has it actually. And there's the Dark Swarm. I'm going to make this so annoying.
Yeah, now there's only going to be maybe 1 or 2 Irradiates here. Plenty of Dark Swarms, though, that is going to completely deny Light the opportunity to take this out. I think it was a Science Vessel actually picked off by a lot of Mutalists there to the side. So that was actually a really good pick-off. If you can limit the effectiveness of those Science Vessels, if you can keep their numbers small, then that's a great way to make your lurkers even more effective.
All right, so we got our sound problem fixed, so hopefully you guys are able to hear everything we just said there. I had to take my headset off and listen to you because of the soundproofing that our beautiful Sennheisers provide. Actually,
my very first LAN event that I ever cast, I had to do that. We didn't have the ability to have sound between the casters' headsets, and I was just like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what to expect. And then the first time I had the ability to hear my co-caster through my headset, I was like, oh my god, this is a whole new world. Everything should be like this all the time. I should be able to hear myself just walking around.
I remember the Pro League 2014 finals, man. We didn't have headsets either. That's why we sound...
Wasn't that the finals where you guys were like almost falling off the balcony?
Basically. We were yelling a lot.
Okay.
So this army is now cornered. It can't break the ramp. He's going to use this drop ship to try to pull units back into the main base. It might have actually been more effective to drop to the north, but there were Mutalists there, so fairly risky. Scourge will take out the drop ship. These Marines are actually being really cost efficient. And 1 lone fire bat will get into the mineral line. This needs to be dealt with. This is getting so many kills here. 10 kills.
Yeah, stim fire bats kill every single drone instantly. Their attacks are global. They hit every drone on the map. That's what it feels like anyway. But yeah, lots of damage done there by that drop. It is cleaned up, but one thing that hasn't been dealt with is this huge flock of Mutalists.
Yeah, Mutalists here are going to come over and shut down the CC, at least briefly. Oh, the SCV's stacking up, and Needs a split against the Irradiate, though.
Okay, I don't.
That's the wrong Muta.
No, he didn't split at all. The Irradiate, it's still dealing damage, and he's actually going to send 2 Mutalisks in to die. Oh my god.
That was definitely sloppy, but like at this stage of the game, he's so ahead that he's probably feeling okay about that, but had this been a more tense game, that would have been a huge mistake. Still has Mutas here, not even enough Marines to contest them here. This is going to be the end of this army and the end of this vessel. Actually gets the Irradiates, never mind.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't focus the Science Vessel first with the Mutalisks. That's going to be what kills you eventually.
I mean, the world is his oyster at this point. He's actually able to save this hatchery as well. And these groups of units coming across the map now could hardly be called armies at this stage. They're just so small and puny.
Wow, and you can really see Light as a player all this season. Even in games where he looked okay, he always falls apart when it comes to how do you play this mid to late game. Which is why the only maps that he's been, or the only games that he's been able to win are these cheesy rushes. So, I mean, this is kind of a battle between, a guy like Light, who, if he doesn't win early, kind of starts to struggle, versus a guy like herO, who, even when he does get ahead, also struggles to close out games, which has cost him many, many matches. It
was very impressive, his game against Rain last week, where he was able to win that Supreme late game and shut down Rain's heavy Corsair play. And, I mean, he looks massively ahead in this game. He's dealt with everything that was thrown at him. But, yeah, closing the game out seems to be a bit of a tougher situation here. Spider-Mind's getting values. This is the thing. We talk about, like, landmark pieces of sections of the game, kind of. In this late game now that we've reached, one of the tough things for the Terran to do is hold on to a third base and make that transition to mech. Right. And he's actually been able to do this because all that herO has been able to do is have these amazing defensive engages, but he's never been able to find any damage. More Irradiates coming off onto these Defilers here.
That is the most confused Mutalisk in the world right there. But yeah, able to get off so many Irradiates.
Nice block here on the ramp against these Vultures. Incredible micro coming out from herO. They might just target down this hatchery. It's still very low from that last engage.
The mineral line there as well. So if these, or if anything comes up there to deal with the Vultures, they might just drag the mines into drones. Finally, a few of the Vultures getting taken out. That's how you get your workers to mine at that base. Just put a Darkstorm right in front of the mineral line.
Yeah. So there's some dirty minerals coming in, man. Dirty esports minerals. So, look, you can see the barracks are lifted. The transition to mech is now finally active. And I like the point that you make because all these players do kind of have somewhat of a very weak mid to late game. And I feel like it's kind of being shown here, but Light's getting the better exchange of it. He just wants to have this bio to help secure this CC, but he's okay to lose it. He's going to trade it away anyways to go into that mech style. It's like, it feels like the unstoppable force versus an immovable object here is we just keep seeing Light like constantly crash into this impervious defense of herO, but herO's just never able to attack or be aggressive.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call either Light or herO an unstoppable force. They both struggled, and so now they're struggling against each other. This is because they're playing against each other. One player is forced to win. That just might take a while because when it comes to closing out games of Brood War, even if you're a great player, it can take a long time because there are a lot of ways that you can punish players for attacking into you. For one, attacking into Terran is very difficult because you have to go through deep siege tank lines oftentimes. And for Zerg as well, you really do have to execute well to...
oh, no! This is disastrous. He didn't know.
The humanity! Every single SCV dying as it's rallied up the ramp.
That was pretty sloppy. It looked like he was microing before, so he should have realized to stop the SCVs there. But I mean, StarCraft is hard. Now, talking about where we're at in this game, you talk about how the little mistakes are made on both sides, but mech is definitely the easier type of army to play in this matchup in the late game. It's cost efficient. I mean, imagine what it takes to plant a spider mine, and then imagine what it takes to defeat that or to overcome a minefield from Vultures. It's a lot tougher for the Zerg. This is the late game matchup that once this mech transition became more commonplace, post-Kespa era, that the Zerg players have even started to complain about for the first time balance in this matchup in the late game. It's just so difficult for the Zerg to deal with this. We do have the Ultralisk Cavern ready, and he does have that late game tech, but look at the map. It's totally controlled now by herO. Losing that base was huge. That's a huge step for herO to take more control over this game, but as you can see here, the mines are just so annoying to deal with.
Yeah, killing off those Zerglings, the mines are free. The Zerglings are kind of free, but not really. So So one thing that actually could happen here is that Terran's been able to get up 2 additional mining bases beyond just the first 3. They're kind of closely clumped together. If he can stay on those bases and continue pumping mech units out of those, Light's not in a terrible position. The problem is going to come when it comes to controlling his units as he goes across the map and tries to deal damage to herO. He hasn't been able to really keep these pods, control groups of bio together, so he's never really able to do a whole lot or accomplish anything. He's never been able to shut down any of herO's bases. He's never been able to kill herO's army, and now herO is the one starting to chip away at everything he has.
Yeah, he's putting so many resources to actually stopping this base, and look, this is getting right on top of these siege tanks where they can't actually fire.
He's not even unsieging.
Yeah, he's dealing with this early run by over there, so there's too many things happening to him at once, and it feels like herO's just simply broken the program in a lot of these fights and a lot of these exchanges. So he is going to get some harassment over here, but what was lost for Light during this time is actually much more significant. He's at least he didn't have to cancel this CC, but everything else that's been going on for him has been kind of a disaster. Not mining full gas from this top base as well.
This is definitely that 45 Michael Jordan. He needs to go back to the 23 Michael Jordan.
Absolutely. I don't know if it's Michael Jordan. It's unknown basketball player.
Yeah, I
who's having a bad time in his career. I mean, this is, again, we talked about how this is actually the bottom of the ladder, the bottom of the bracket, the bottom of the round robin that we're seeing from these two. It just feels like there's mistakes on both sides, but it feels like this unit composition is better for Light in terms of when you compare these two in skill because of how mech operates as a composition. But he's still having trouble moving across the map. It feels like herO has his number with these earlings, these Dark Swarm siege ups that we just saw. And now this base, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to hold it.
Yeah, while Light's army composition might be a little bit better, herO is definitely playing this better. He's got Carapace upgrades for his Ultralisk. He also has that chitinous plating completed as well. So just a little bit, he'll have those 5 armor Ultras. They don't deal splash damage like in StarCraft 2, but they are still a great way to run right into these sieged up tank lines. However, thankfully, Light's left a couple of tanks unsieged, and we'll be able to clear up these Ultras. They do need to be supported.
But look at this, Crackling's coming up too, and as much as he splits these tanks and backs them up here, this is going to be really cost efficient right now for herO. Lurker's coming in now. Again, the Dark Swarm pairing.
Oh, interesting to see Lurkers kill Spider Mines with the splash damage from the Spines. But yeah, Dark Swarm's coming up. Great spell casting from herO. That is so difficult to do, guys. If you start playing Brood War, if you're like, hey, I've seen other people play this, let me try to play Zerg. Well, you got to get really good at using Defilers, because turns out being able to negate every bit of damage that Terran does is pretty useful, and hero's doing a great job with the Swarm coverage.
Yeah, I think we got an irradiate on some of these things, so we might see them all just pop up in a second here and blow up. But this is still, this has been the crux of this entire attack. Is he's just always been cut off with his mech, never able to pull it all.
Yeah, if you guys are really good at hotKeying your units and want to just make Zerglings, you just really like the Zerglings, your favorite unit or something, Brood War's probably the game for you, because that is just so effective. Now here comes the big drop. herO covering Light's entire army. Dark Swarms going down, and with it,
GG.
will Light.
So this means that Sock still has an opportunity to advance to playoffs. Also, no three-way tie possible anymore with this win for herO. So the unlikely victory for herO, who has so many fans came down to the studio to watch him specifically today, and he wins, he gets that extra fight money, and stops so many possibilities from happening. So no three-way tie. Rain is no longer eligible for playoffs.
Nope.
So that's it for him. So his match later on definitely going to be feeling a little bit frustrated. Could be a little bit awkward for him, knowing that the favorite of this match, Light, failed here in the late game. And I mean, he actually just had to struggle the entire game long. His first barracks didn't find any damage.
Yeah, he tried for like an
was
aggressive forward barracks, and then he had to like bunker behind it.
Didn't scout the spire. Like, a lot of things went wrong for Light there in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see herO sort of bring things back there at the very end. Unfortunately, he won't be able to advance to the playoffs, so this will be the last time we'll see herO in the SSL this season. Maybe next season. We'll see how that works out. But at least for the time being, that is going to set us up for our next series, which is going to be Rain versus Sock, the revenge match from ASL. It's going to be really cool to kind of see how both of these players have progressed since then, because I don't think I've gotten a chance to see Rain in any other tournaments. He's playing in one BJ League right now, but I haven't watched that yet. So stick around, guys. We'll be right back with our next match between Rain and Sock.